And let's see. Oh, there we go. All right, great.
Go.
Hey, so hi, we're live here with Sammy. So first off, Sammy, you've been following me for like a long while, and you hit me up in the DMs. I don't know.
DMs.
Yeah. You slid into the DMs hard, and you were like, "Screenshot." By the way, I don't know. You can tell the numbers. I don't want to expose any information too much. But let's just say there was a capital M somewhere in a screenshot before it was like not even six figures. And you're like, bro, I've just been following you on Instagram and like, holy shit. So some context, why don't you tell people sort of like where this all started from? Because I don't even all know. I was just like, yeah, dude, let's go have a conversation. This is awesome.
All right. So I'd kind of been in marketing for about 5 years, and I'd worked at a local radio station, and I worked at a local streaming service and stuff like that. And then I got alopecia and ended up like just really depressed. Didn't leave my house for 6 months. But in that 6 months, I just sat in watching YouTube videos, learning how to run Facebook ads, like the old like dropshipping videos and stuff like that. Sure. And just for 6 months, just going through that. And then I'd kind of begged one of my friends who owns like a shoe company to let me just run ads for him for like $15 a day, charged him like next to nothing. Just wanted the experience. And then they introduced me to someone else. And then I started working with them. And then I was like, I love this. Like, I really want to like just do this full time. So then I started Uber driving to kind of, I still had to like earn money. So I started Uber driving and then met like another client in my Uber. And then like the pandemic hit and the business just kind of started like booming from there. And now I'm here. Like it's so bizarre that like
I love that you said like I just want to get good at this. So I bothered a friend like, can you give me like, can I overwork and undercharge just to get good at this thing? Yeah. And then you drove for Uber. By the way, in between gigs, I drove for Lyft, like in between gigs just to keep things going. I was like, fuck it. What am I gonna do? Sit around in the house? Like, no, screw that. And like it's a beautiful thing. And you're building a bit of an empire here, man. I mean, I love it.
It's funny, like the company is now like really big. And they moved on like to like a full service kind of agency and all this kind of stuff. But they're still on my website. And every time people land on my site, they're like, oh, I love these guys. Like I have their products. And like so charging them next to nothing and earning next to nothing at the beginning has been priceless in the long term. Like I like to say I saw the bigger picture. I didn't. I just winged it and hoped for the best that it worked out. And like they put me in touch with someone else, and it just kind of rolled on from there. I sort of struggled to grasp like how it kind of ended up here with me spending so much money and working with like such big brands from just sitting indoors watching YouTube videos. But like that's where I am. So.
Well, I love it, man. I think there's an inherent like entrepreneurialism to figuring this stuff out. And I think for what it's worth, the people that are really good at this job, and we'll get into maybe a bit more of that in a second, and the people that struggle or that are just good enough, like if you come at running ads and doing this stuff, not just as a marketer trying to figure out an audience, but like as an entrepreneur trying to run a business, whether it's your business or not. Like I'll be talking to clients and students and be like, yeah, dude, well, we're going to get this out. It's like, I'm not doing it. Like, it's your business. I'm just on the thing. But like, these are my numbers. This is my data. Like, I'm going to make this money. Like that ownership just feels so good. Yeah. So tell me about like what you were doing. Like, so for those that don't know, like I saw you follow me and you just started liking a bunch of stuff and watching things. And like, I noticed, cause like, I'm legitimately the other person on the other end of this phone. You know what I mean? Like I'm a real person. And I also have no life. So just sit inside all day, play rock and roll and make, try to, help people out. And then all of a sudden I get this like, Yeah, and then our plants, right? You were talking about that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, so dude, in 2020 I was here, and then insert screenshot of 2021, and I was just like, right on, man. So I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into depth with that, but I would love for you to, like, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of it. Like, I think it's so inspiring and awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird thing to have to say, but like,
yeah,
pandemic, like, as someone who was trying to get into e-commerce, I don't want to say it did me good, but that's kind of what I'm trying to like say. So because I was Uber driving, and I think what I'd realized was like all the time I should have been, out there searching for new clients. I was just making guaranteed money just driving around. So then as soon as COVID hit, and I had to stop like Uber driving because there was just no one going outside, it kind of gave me all this free time to just, work on like my business and like skills and all that kind of stuff. And then also like search for new clients, like everything and Elon Musk said this, like everything you want to learn is on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Like, and I think we're kind of getting away from people frowning upon people being YouTube taught for stuff. I think it's becoming more and more commonplace every day, every week. But yeah, and I just kind of had so much time to sort of like, sit in and learn and all that kind of stuff. And by then, like business was already doing pretty well, just because I'd kind of worked up and met people and all this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, it's just insane. It just progressed from there,
Yeah, no, I love it, man. So like, just a couple of things I was really curious about, and what made me so happy. So we're talking just the fact that you were able to take the stuff you learned on YouTube, some Instagram stuff, some hounding a few people. Like, I feel like there's a lot of information out there, right? And it can be one of the downsides of YouTube is that it's so easy to access info, and that bad ideas tend to be more popular than good ones.
Yeah. So, well, that was when I was saying, like, originally when I was just, like super depressed and just sitting inside for 6 months, I had nothing else to do but just rile through as much content as I could. And like over time, I kind of learned, I was practicing on the job with, the couple of clients I had. So I just kind of learned what was good and what was bad. And I think for me, like, because I had a marketing like background and kind of had that mentality of, how you kind of present things to potential like buyers and stuff like that really helped. But yeah, it just kind of took a little while to get through so much content. And it's actually a thing like a lot of my friends say to me, they're like, oh, I just don't know what's right and what's wrong. Like, I don't know where to kind of start. And now, like, now I kind of say, just find like one great person with loads of content that you can just follow instead of, going to, 500 different people, and build up at least some basic idea and then start kind of getting ideas from other places, which is even kind of what I do now. Listen to all of your stuff. And then every time I listen to something else, I'm like walking my dog down the road. I'm like, that's wrong. That's not how you do it. It's like people like walking past me like, what's this guy?
I love that, man. I love that. Like, so I'm super curious just because I'm, out of all the things, I'm legitimately, I'm wondering, like, what made you decide to trust what I had to say versus other people? Because there are tons of people with 100 times as many followers or like 1,000 times more views. So I'm just curious, like, because I mean, we know the quality of the information, but there's a big thing,
So, okay, so I kind of thought this was going to be like a question on this.
Sure. Yeah, I'm curious, man. I want to know how I help make you get to $1 million screenshot. I want to know how I help make that happen, man.
So,
that's amazing.
What for all of the other gurus and stuff like that, they are finding success, right? And they are doing, a good job in theory. They've got good brands and good content. What I got from you was like a fundamental like insight to how the platform actually works, to be able to, look into the future, start looking at like estimated action rates and attribution models. No one else really talks about that. I think a lot of other people's content is just like, this is the ad, this is the audience, just put it up and kind of hope for the best. But with what you go in such a deep dive to how this algorithm that we kind of all earn a living from works. And for me, I didn't really feel like anyone else was doing that, So yeah, that's kind of what worked for me.
I love that, man. Yeah. And that's one thing I got to say, like, that I've also noticed is there's a lot of people effectively reciting Facebook Blueprint. And I can tell you how many people I get every day that took X course or paid for X Slack channel. They're dropping a couple $100 every few weeks on Gumroad, and they're just pissed off. They see the same damn thing every single time. And I tell them, like, fundamental change is only going to happen if you fundamentally change what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And if you're seeing the same bad advice from the same groups of people over and over and over again, maybe the investment that you need to make in yourself is taking a risk of getting above and beyond that same level of noise. Like, you have to do something fundamentally different. And what I love about this that you said and made me so happy was the level of detail above and beyond just, this is an ad, but like, this is the science. This is the structure. This is the business model. This is the mathematical. I did one today about mathematical equation, CPA plus COGS divided by LTV. Like, that's how you scale a direct to consumer brand. Like, that level of depth and actionability, I feel like is vital. You know what I mean? And I mean, I love that you found so much out of that. I'm curious, out of that stuff, because I mean, I've got hundreds of hours or whatever. Like, what are the things that really stuck with you? What are some of the stuff that you would say? Like, if somebody's coming to you because now you're Sammy Blades, expert yourself, you're $1 million ad account guy. What are you telling folks that are coming up? Because one of my hopes is that you can pass that along. You know what I mean?
One of my biggest things that I am like openly like putting my hands up to really getting wrong before or kind of, I guess, during like following your content and stuff was like attribution model or attribution window, where I was like, when iOS 14 happened, I was like actively saying, oh, the worst part of it is that it's no longer tracking people for 28 days. It's only 7, and trying to like just like begging to people like, oh, if it's outside the 7 days, like we won't see it in Facebook, and really like just kind of like humming that tune kind of thing. And then I think it was on one of the podcasts or something where you kind of explained it, and I was like, yeah, all right, like, that does make a lot more sense, and I'm kind of, like having at the moment where a lot of clients that I'm working with, like wanting to go on TikTok and do Google Shopping and do Facebook as well. And it's like, well, if Google's tracking you for 30 days and Facebook's 7, and then TikTok's tracking you as well, and you get one purchase, someone's been on all 3, it's not going to show up 3 times. They don't have an agreement. Like, they're not sitting there like, oh, you can have this one.
It's not like, hey, you made 3 times the amount of money. No.
It's, it's just one purchase, and it could show up on 3 platforms. And that's one of the things that I kind of now like hate about gurus and all the big like marketing agencies and stuff, where they just kind of slam this like 6 ROAS, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, not really, you didn't. Like, guarantee you didn't. Like,
And the other thing about that 6 ROAS number or whatever, like I see this ad from one that's like 6 ROAS X all the time, or somebody else that's 8. We'll leave them to be. Is that good? That's my question. Because here's the thing. 6x ROAS. Now, let's say you break. Let's just use stupid math that never holds true. 1 ROAS means you broke even. Let's just say your cost of goods is $0 for the purpose of this conversation. 6 to me feels like you spent 5 times too little money. Because if I give you $1, you can give me 6 back. Awesome. well, why didn't you spend $5? Because I'd have 30. But instead you gave me 6. You gave me $5 back in profit instead of like 29. Like, what are you doing? Like, or 24, whatever. And I love that. Or the other side is, like, I've worked with clients where like they need an 8 to break even. You know, because they know there's LTV baked in, high, whatever. Like,
So like one of the things I always say to people, like the whole thing with the ROAS is like, okay, you were getting a 6 ROAS, right? And if you were, you know, great. But how much, if you were spending $100 a day and getting a 6 ROAS, you're doing $600 a day in sales. That ain't that much. But if you were spending $10,000 a day and getting a 2 ROAS and you're making $10,000 in sales a day, that's a lot. So would you rather a 2 ROAS at $10,000 a day or a 6 at $100 a day? You know, and
oh my God, yeah.
From a scale point of view, and I think that's something that not a lot of people like talk about that, and that's something I always say when I'm scaling with clients and stuff. And I'm like, what the ROAS? I just have to do that now because it's such bullshit. Like, I'm like the ROAS, like it will go down when you spend more, but you will make more. You know, so all of these businesses saying, oh, you know, we scaled this client to a 6 return, or you know, it's such nonsense. It's also, how long did that last? You know, if you're spending $100 a day for a week and you got a 6 ROAS, great. I can guarantee you it died after that week. Guarantee.
Yeah, well, but you know, once you stop promoting that email campaign to your existing buyers that you're smashing on retargeting during Black Friday, that massive return, all of a sudden goes away. It's funny. You reminded me, like I used to work with this alcohol delivery brand in Los Angeles who, for legal terms, I will not actually name out loud. You know, everybody's like, well, name your clients. It's like, I don't need to. We don't need to have this conversation. Whatever. So they had a Facebook rep who was moonlighting, and they were doing about 300 to 500 a day at 6X. Ironically enough, doing about 1,500 to 1,800 in sales a day. In Los Angeles, they were stoked, but they were unhappy with it because of the guy and his conflict of interest with Facebook and the mother. So anyway, they brought me on. Within like 6 or 9 months, I think it was within 6 months, we had him doing a 2.5X. But really what it meant was we were making a $22 profit per sale. Because we got some margin instead, right? $22 profit per sale with a projected 2.5 multiplier on LTV. Again, that's CPA plus COGS divided by LTV. At $3,000 a day. And you know what the net effect of it was? The guy had to go out for his next round of investment 6 months early. He ran out of his runway. Instead of doing it in June, he did it in November and December. And like, that's so much better. Like, a 6X return on like, great. You made it $1,200. Awesome. I'm going to do $100,000 a month doing it my way. And it's just like a smaller piece of a much bigger pie tends to be way more valuable. But I think it ultimately comes down to some folks are taught to make Facebook look good. Other folks are taught to build a business.
That's my whole thing at the moment. Like but even before I sign people or like onboard them or whatever, I'm like, I'm not here for a vanity report. You know, I've actually had this with a client like recently, and I mean, I know this is for Facebook, for example, but this was on Google Ads where they were spending like $1,500 a day on the keyword that was their own business, right? That looks great in a vanity report, you know, because you're not going into the details of the keywords and stuff like that, but we're saying, oh, we're getting you a 7 times return on your money. But they were going to your website anyway, so it's fucking pointless. Like, you know, so I went in and like, you know, it was probably a bit like risky for me to do with a, you know, brand new client and stuff, but I basically stopped all that, changed all the keywords to people who are actively looking for the products and services that we have, and driving them to the business. Like, my reports look 1 billion times worse than the last people, but like the actual growth of the business is going up, you know?
Because you're driving lift. Funny how that works. When you focus on growing a brand versus protecting your ego, things happen.
And I think like my thing at the moment is, and like I'm very, very like lucky to be in like this position where I can have this kind of like, I guess it's like I don't want to say an arrogance, but where I'm like, if you don't understand that, then that's fine. Then this doesn't work, you know?
Yeah.
So if you want someone who's just gonna, you know, sit in the background and do your ROAS reports and not scale and provide you with no growth, go for it. There's a billion people that do what we do, and you're welcome to them. And I know it's rude, but like that's just what it is. Like,
no, I love it. I love it. And I tell my students in the MBA program all the time, like when they're talking about getting good clients and stuff, I say, like, have a conversation with somebody. One of the key things about landing a client isn't getting your first paycheck. The thing you want to look at with landing a client is this going to be a relationship you want to invest in? Yeah. And some of the best relationships is when you can have a business conversation with an entrepreneur that understands, because they need to know three things. First off, they need to know that they're going to live and die without you. Like you are not necessary to their bottom line. Number two, your function is to throw fuel on the fire. They give you money, you blow up their business. Yeah. And that's a big thing. And then the third piece is they need to understand that it's not day to day. It's week to week, month to month trajectory, growth in a business. And ultimately, understand what that goal is. Is it bottom line growth? Is it top line growth? Is it market share? Is it customer acquisition at any cost? Because the right answer to every problem is fundamentally different based on those questions. And so many people I know are just trying to work so hard. And the people I see on Twitter and on Instagram and on YouTube talking about ABO versus CBO, my man Barry talking about this, like, that doesn't matter. I mean,
stop first off, madness. Like it's 2022. Like, please stop this like conversation. Like, I literally can't handle it. I don't understand why, like, everyone's just not Power 5 or Power 5 all day. Like, you know, broad. Like, it drives me. Like, I mean, I say it drives me nuts. Say it's good for my business. Like,
it's really good for the people that embrace it. And with that, like, people argue so in depth about shit that doesn't matter. Yeah. And I use this analogy sometimes. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Gangs of New York. You ever see that movie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So there's a shot where they're having at it, right? They're knifing each other in the street. Yeah. It's like a big war. And then the Navy just levels the entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're the fucking Navy.
Yeah.
You can battle with your ABO, CBO, whatever, like manual bit, all that stuff. I don't give a shit. I got cannons.
Yeah.
Fight is over. Like, you know, like, we're done here. I don't care that you figured out a way of working 3 times harder to make an extra 5 cents. I'm going to be working half as hard and double the business.
Yeah. And like, where are you at in your life? Like, how arrogant can you be when you're like, when Facebook's like, hey, we think you should do this. And you go, nah, I'll just do it my own way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at the point where, like,
who are you? Like, literally, who are you if you're doing that, right?
I mean, I'm trying to be nicer.
Yeah.
But the honest truth is, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate it. And fair enough, like, they might not know, but I did the launch, for instance, of lead gen.
Yeah.
I did the launch of dynamic product ads.
Yeah.
I did the case study with Facebook for the development of creative testing in CBO and the proof of advanced matching.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes to me and is like, well, if Facebook says we should probably do this for creative testing with CBO, I'm like, yeah. Or when somebody says, you know what, I think interest groups the way to go versus like lookalikes abroad, I'm like, so many people today are quoting the work based off of millions of dollars Facebook gave me back in 2017.
Yeah.
And it used to bother the hell out of me. And now I'm just like, you know what? If these folks that just recite that information have finally leveled up to 40 years ago, that means other folks that don't know anything are at least getting better advice. And that's a good thing. You know, like I used to feel so just angry, but I'm trying to get better at that. And to be fair, like somebody who like I have a history with like there's been a fair amount of people that have gone from blocking me to like following me and ask to speak on their stages because they've they've rounded back to cool again. And I've also been less of an asshole to people because I used to be I used to be too arrogant. I 100% own that shit.
No, that was one of the things I liked. When you just, I mean, like I love the so picture of Oasis on my wall. Like obviously love the arrogance and like all that kind of stuff.
Fleetwood Mac's pretty damn arrogant too. Don't sell him short.
Yeah. I mean, but that was one of the things for you where I just liked where like just calling out all this bullshit. I don't know. I don't really use Twitter that much, but I follow you because I just love you in the comments, just like railing people.
Yeah, and you know what? We all have to find the people that work. And something that you said early on that I think really speaks to this is find one person, find a source.
Yeah.
Dig into that source. It doesn't have to be me. It could be you. Yeah. It could be anybody. It could be any man or woman under the sun. As long as I think the number one strategy is picking a lane and sticking to it. I've seen people do things poorly, but they commit. They're going to do a lot better than somebody that poorly executes a ton of pretty good ideas. So, and for me, like I'm just myself all the time. I don't really have like, this is just literally who I am all of the time. I'm trying to be less abrasive, but like still, like if you're lying to people, if you're bullshitting people and it costs people access to their dreams and changing their life, I will confront you in the open on that because you, for instance, were driving a car, things happened, you got the ability to change your life fundamentally, lifestyle upgrade for life, family, like different world. But if somebody else was louder or I didn't openly confront people and call that stuff out, you might have been in a place where it took you another 3 months, another 6 months to get there. And you might've missed the boat on how much you could afford to really risk. And I see so many people every day. I can't tell you how many DMs I get. Literally, like my assistant would like tell me, just like he sends me screenshots like, bro, you got 100 DMs. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, dude, I'm having coffee. Like, leave me alone. And like, but every day it's people that the opportunity cost of listening to others, because nobody said these people don't know what they're doing. Has cost them their ability to achieve their dreams, and they waste their life savings chasing something that was bad advice 4 years ago.
And I think like one of the big problems is that like people also like from a Facebook point of view, like people underestimate how hard the platform works for you. So even with bad advice, you can still see some level of success, right? It's just not scalable and it's not long term. So what I see happen is like people kind of get wrapped up in these like gurus that don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. They see some success short term and think, oh, these guys know what they're doing. In a few months' time, when they're spending, when they're putting their life savings in, it just crashes, and they actually just don't know what to do from there. Like there's no, like almost like no scale in it. And I've kind of spoken to so many business owners recently that are like, oh, I was with XYZ agency. They were great until we got up to, spending more money. And then it just, went flat, and they, we're doing this test and doing this test and doing this audience and this bullshit. And it's like, they never knew what they were doing in the first place. Facebook just was doing what it does. It went for the lowest hanging fruit first, got you some results. And now you're here, It's kind of had speaking, and it's upsetting. And it's also kind of the reason why, or part of the reason why I just do this. And I don't like run an e-commerce business or anything like that. I just like helping people.
I'm the same way, man. People keep asking me, why don't you do an e-commerce thing? And it's like, my mornings can be spent answering DMs, trying to make people's lives better, or hopping on the phone with like fulfillment in Taiwan and customers. Like, I don't want to deal that anymore.
No customer service for me.
I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't want to, like, you get to pick and choose the problems you have as an adult, right? Like, every situation you're in is your responsibility. And like, you get to pick and choose. You're not a victim. Like you woke up and decided to put yourself in this situation. And like, that, like, short-term win shit, I talk about that all the time. You know, and like, the biggest short win bullshit that I'm seeing right now is people saying lookalikes and retargeting with manual bidding. And I'm like, you know what? You are going to crush for about 12 days. 100% you're going to crush. But the problem is you're sapping everything out of that lookalike and everything out of that retargeting. But because you're not creative testing and scaling it broad, you're not feeding anything back into, so you're just draining the bucket with nothing else coming in. It eventually just dries up and you're sitting there like, well, what do I do now that, like, this is working a little bit? You've invested all of your profits in scaling to get blood from a stone, and then you're upset when it doesn't work out.
It's a hard thing to, I don't want to say educate, but like to kind of teach clients that, you know, where, like, for me, you know, if I take someone on board and I'm kind of flat out, just like, this isn't overnight. This is a couple of months or a month, depending on how much we're spending to really get there. Like, I have a, you know, client at the moment and did a big restructure and everything like that. And like, the results are still good, but they're improving week by week, month by month. But they're not as good as they were before, but they'd kind of been okay before. And like, we're just seeing the amount of scale that we can get with the, you know, Power 5 restructure, as they weren't doing that before. And like, it's just hard to kind of convince people that it's, you know, it's long-term, you know, no one wants the long-term. Like, business owners like, oh, I just want, you know, the results overnight. And it's like, if, you know, but like I say, like, if you can't see the long-term growth, then I can't help you. Like, you know, be on your way sort of thing. Which is a shame, but it's just the nature of, you know, like, some people get it and some people don't, you know, and the ones that do, like a brand I'm working with, like a fragrance brand I'm working with at the moment, she like is just the smartest girl and like really just gets it. And like, when I like explain things to her, I'm like, look, if we're on 3 platforms, we're going to record, you know, probably 3 times the results. So we're just going to move to this ecosystem ROAS instead and look at how much we're spending, how much we're making and stuff like that. And I'm like, look, it's okay. Like, we're on, you know, this one day click, one day view. I'm like, it's okay that Facebook is showing you shit because look what's happening on Shopify. And she's like, oh yeah, no, that like, and just really like gets like, it's amazing like to like work with her because she's so fucking smart.
I love it. And like, when I'm talking to clients about that, and I'm talking to my students from the MBA program or whatever else, I keep trying to tell them, like, the focus here is that next month is better than this month. Right. Like, that's the overall goal. Decide a business objective. Top line growth. Cool. So your top line growth metric in January, maybe January's tough over December just because the scale. But the point is, if you're moving the needle,
you're comparing January to December.
So fair enough. But like, if you can start to look at it quarter by quarter, year by year, month by month, the bigger the windows you can look at, and you start to make big change. And when I get pushback from that, I tell people, like, you understand your competitors are making this work. You understand you're coming to me because you know that I've made this work for other people. You understand that you have done it your way, trying to react to yesterday's incomplete, out of context information. If you're willing to invest in the future, because you would never run any other facet of your business, you would never make any other business decision in the real world ever based on that situation. Like, you would never fire a salesperson from a car dealership because they sold 0 cars yesterday. Like that, you wouldn't do it. Like, you wouldn't hire and fire employees after a couple of days or maybe a week because they couldn't produce. It's like an ad or an ad set being an employee of your business. Like, they need to be trained. They need to learn. And are you going to invest in employees that are going to be around for weeks or ones that are going to be around for months or years? Like, I've got ads that have been running since 2018. They crush. Or like ad sets. Like, I got campaigns. Like, I have a control campaign for one, and it's literally broad, a performance-based lookalike, and a broad retargeting audience I set that up in 2019. It's got automated rules on the budget, and we spend an hour or two a week on Facebook testing new stuff to try to replace the worst ad with something new that might be better. And that business has, in polite terms, gone from a mid-7 to a mid-8. Sold. They got bought out by a public company last year. And it's all on the back of Facebook has blown that company up. But it's because we've let Facebook do its job and stayed out of the way and invested in the quality and made a priority to improve the quality of our assets that we are investing into. Instead of chasing short wins, that we are moving mountains instead of trying to fix every little pebble, worry about all these little problems. You don't need an A+. All I need is better than last week. The concept of 1% better every day is 1,000 times better in 2-3 years. That's all you need.
I think the other thing is what a lot of people kind of disregard or don't understand is the reality that when you're building a business, Facebook is such a small part of it. No matter how much money you're spending, did you say that? Can I hire this guy?
Yeah. Well, I'll put you in touch, William. Let's make it happen.
$1 million a month. But it's such a Facebook. It's such a small part of the marketing mix or the process or whatever. If I actually had this with a client quite recently where I was running ads for them, and for example, the bounce rate on their website was 96%, and it's that it's not the ad's fault, bro. It's the website, and then beyond the website, how's your checkout funnel, and then are you, what are you doing in terms of email? How's the the UX of your website? You're just in this age of Facebook is just so content orientated. The VP of Instagram came out a couple of months ago and was we're not really an image sharing platform anymore. We're a video sharing platform. So it's all just content based. But if people are coming to your website and there's just so many other things that kind of go into it. And I think that a lot of people A, disregard that, and B, just don't really understand what else is happening. Just kind of think, I can put up some ads and it's going to be fine. And it won't, it just won't, and there's and kind of giving, what I kind of got from you was a framework of kind of how to structure an ad where I can go and work on other things for, other back end things. I'm all over Klaviyo, Google Analytics, using Hotjar and all these other kind of things.
Sure.
That shit that matters now, because the ads are up and they're running and they're doing great. But we need to convert people where it matters and actually get people through the door to make the purchases that they want. And I just, so many gurus sitting there being I just rail ads, get people to the website, it'll be fine. No,
no,
it won't.
Yeah,
such a strategy.
There's this, that's just not how this works. That's not how any of this works. It's that. Oh, there's this old Geico commercial, an insurance company in America, where they had these old biddies sitting around in the living room, and somebody just had a picture up on her living room wall. She's I put photos on my wall, and then she walked up to her, was I unfriend you, and handed her a picture. She's that's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. And my point with this, I love it. I literally just shot a video today, deep diving into this. It went live earlier. And because I got a lot of heat I dropped something about this on Twitter. Is the most important equation and in D2C is that CPA plus COGS divided by LTV, looking to see where you get the best offer. And I got hundreds of engagements, and a lot of people well, that's an oversimplification, blah, blah, blah. I'm well, yeah, it's 180 characters, man. I'm sorry, it's not a fucking college essay. So I was all right, here's a 20-minute video, and I just tagged everybody, and I kind of shit post, but whatever. I do that all the time. That's just again who I am, right? And so the thing is, I can't tell you how many brands make they try to promote 5 things, and it's look, you can get to a million on one. And then, so here's the trick. get from 3 things down to 1, so that instead of having 3 problems to solve, you have 1. You've got 1 type of customer. I got my $19 offer that cost me $30 to sell. LTV's $100. Awesome. I can double my money on every person. Great.
It's Apple with the iPhone, right? That's their main, like Apple just rail the iPhone all the time, and hopefully you go into the shop and pick up a $5,000 Mac while you're there.
And Jordan has the Nikes. Like there's
Nike,
no, sorry. Nike has the Jordans. It's so good. I had it backwards, right? And then here's the other side of it. Is like, okay, so you figure that out, and you're like, well, I can't spend any more. I've reduced my customer acquisition cost, which is also bullshit because there's no such thing as the cost of acquiring a customer. Making a sale on a customer, 2 wildly different things. But on top of that, like, if you figured it out, great. Where in your funnel is busted? One of my favorite things, and we talked about this in the MBA program last week. We had a big lecture on this, and it was this Google Analytics report, this like funnel report, where it says, all right, everybody landed on this web page. Cool. 80% got to this page. Cool. 12 got to this page. 1% got to here. So that one that's like 80 to 12, get that 12 to like 16, or get it to like 20. What is this break that creates such a problem? If you can make a 25% improvement or introduce an upsell, I can't tell you how many people just don't even have a post-transactional upsell. They have a pre where they just like, I know you want to buy, but how about 10 other things? Like, fuck you, I just want this thing. And instead it's like, hey, thank you for your purchase. We've noticed people like you like this other stuff. Whatever you can do to either reduce the CPA, reduce your COGS, or improve that LTV, a 20% change, a 10% change in that conversion rate or somewhere down the funnel means that you can spike spend, because it's not a one-to-one relationship. If you get a 10% cheaper cost per acquisition because you improved your conversion rate, that means you can push your spend by 20, 30, 40% because you're going to get actual sales. So like if you get 10 sales for $100 and then all of a sudden you get 11 sales for $100 and you're like, okay, great, we're going to spike it up to $110. You're likely going to make at least 1 more sale, so that depreciation on efficiency isn't a linear line. So a 10, 20% change in your efficiency generally means a 25 to 50% increase in your volume at the top of your Facebook ad spend. And then what happens? Way more emails come in, your Google search volume comes up, your SEO gets better because your customer journey is better, your email team gets better at doing their job, and you're scaling the shit out of your business. I did this with a brand where we were doing when I came on board, they were doing 6,000 a day at a 2.5x ROAS. By the time I left 19 months later, we're doing 30,000 a day at a 0.8. And they went from $12 million company to, an $18 million company to a $95 million company. And the LTV doubled. And it's because we just figured out the one fucking thing. For them, it was like, all right, here's a $19 offer. We give you a 19. It costs us 30 to sell. We know you're worth 100. After a year or 2, we got it to 200. And night and day, just night and day, crushing because you're making real change in that business. And I love what you say. And the honest truth is, there's no Facebook ad in the world that's going to overcome those problems.
Well, exactly. And like, I mean, the information, like what I find funny is like just the information is out there. Like I'm like on like Amazon and like Apple's like websites and stuff all the time. Just like Apple's like is so simple, right? Just the website is so simple. Amazon's, so I can pay with Amazon with a swipe or with a click, right? It just eliminates like the process that you have to go through. Like I don't have to take 5 different steps to make one done. And because people really underestimate, like every time you have to ask someone to do something, every time you have to ask someone to go somewhere else, it just increases the likelihood of them dropping off. It just does. You know,
like what if instead of a 3-step process, it was a 2?
Exactly.
Where it's like it's landing page A, and then they get to step 2 where it's 80%. What if instead of 80, 12, and then 1, you expose this percent that's only 1 all the way up to 80? It was just like, oh, you're interested. Cool. Give us your money. Done. Problem solved. Shop Pay or PayPal, Amazon, whatever. Transaction done. I don't even need to like, I'm on the toilet. I don't even need to grab my wallet. We're done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in bed. I'm in traffic. I'm in a meeting.
Making
I'm in an elevator.
as easy as possible for people to kind of
I made 3 purchases on Amazon last night while the dogs took a piss in the front yard and my wallet was in the other room. And like the fact that people don't say like, well, Amazon's super successful. Clearly I shouldn't copy them. Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
They have people that they are paying a lot of money to do a lot of this research, and it's like, you know, like the most underutilized like tool, and I can't believe I didn't mention this a minute ago. Facebook ads library, like, oh yeah, you know, you could just spy on other people. So it's like the same thing where you're like, they have got people, you know, like Amazon have got people that have, you know, investing millions of dollars and millions of, you know, man hours into making this process as seamless as possible. You know, I look at some of the biggest brands in the world on my ads library because they've done the hard work. I just go in there and take a different approach. You know, I just go in there and like, I just fucking rip it off. I don't care. You know,
I can't tell you how many times I literally just copy paste like the copy. Done. They
have to do it. As a market, you know, as Apple, as a market leader, they have to invest that money. Like, you know, that's just part of being a business that's that big. And you know what? Thanks.
I'll make 2 points on that. First off, if you're not looking at the Facebook ads library for a brand, when you like, my wife is super price conscious. She always goes to retail me, not shit like that. And I'm like, look, no. Go to Facebook ads library and that brand. You're going to see the retargeting ad with the 30% off code that they don't want anybody else to know. It's there. Done. Go save money. Second point. McDonald's is the only fast food chain in the world that researches locations. Every other fast food joint puts themselves across the street from McDonald's. McDonald's has that innate cost.
But they have to as the market leader, you know.
They have to.
They have to do it. They have to. You know.
Yeah. And I learned that quote from, I was working at a meal replacement shake company, not a weight loss brand.
No,
not at all. No. Completely compliant. I promise. Our supplements are for beauty and health. And he was a customer UX designer for Amazon, like vice president. And we stole him away from it because his wife was going to med school and he had to move across the country and needed to get, right? Just like one of those, So we got a VP of UX design from Amazon. And he came into me and told me that. And I was just like, we can do that? And he's like, why not? And I was just like, cool. I'm going to do that for everything. See you guys later. My job is done. And night and day difference performance. I accidentally started 2 ad agencies sitting at the desk of that company because I had so little to do being the Facebook marketing guy. It was a beautiful thing.
I think as you know, when you're like, you know, part of the bigger like pie or the, you know, the market leaders and stuff like that, that's just stuff, you know, that's just kind of part of, you know, what you have to do. You know, and I do think that like it's also kind of the same for ads as well, you know, where they have to say for example, like I have a client that's quite a niche product, and a lot of our content that we've used is just like, this is the product, like, you know, whatever. And like my whole thing for them is like, you're going to run out of people that are going to buy that product unless you invest money in educating more people on how that product is going to help you, because you have to build your own audience. Like you have to like educate people to build out like a bigger target of people to reach, you know. And you know, kind of what we're saying is like, just as a market leader or one of the bigger players in the game, that's an onus that just falls on you for being where you are, and you have to do that. And everyone else is going to rip you off, but just that's the game you're in. And if you don't like it, don't play.
Yeah, you know? And to the other side of that, the people that don't do that are the market leaders die.
Oh, exactly.
They die quick.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
and that's just one of the things. And I tell so many people, just like, that is the nature of it, right? Like, if you're trying to run a subscription like underwear brand, awesome. Go to MeUndies, rip off everything. Right? Or like if you want to make a women's brand for clothing, go to anything from textile. Like one of my old bosses was the VP of marketing at Textile. He's the CMO. And he taught me everything about their onboarding experience. And like, he's just like, rip them off. Like, he was like, he said they literally had $100,000 a month to test just the length of the onboarding for FabFitFun. Like, that's the scale that they're working at. And if they make it work, just copy it. And then the biggest lessons I got from them, complete side note, longer onboarding for a subscription brand, not a bad idea. What they found was when their onboarding was less than 2 minutes, that person had a net value. That was their standard thing. When they made it 8.5 minutes, their LTV rose 4x because you get so emotionally bought in. And then, honestly, he's like, we had 3 landing pages you would have landed on no matter what. But we and like the funniest thing was he said, we had a video that played that looked like it was doing math. And it was literally just a video, and we played with the time stretch on the progress bar. They literally just went into iMovie and like shrunk it, like hit the turtle and the bunny. And like, cool, bunny at 2.5, that's bad. Turtle at 2.5, we tripled our money. Cool, turtle at 2.5 on everything. And it was literally some asshole with iMovie sitting down there creating the onboarding experience. It's like you paid somebody $15 an hour to triple your LTV. Like, that's the kind of stuff that, to me, just like I get so excited about. I just love that stuff.
I love, like, I kind of think that's going to go into something else, but I love where it's at now, just in terms of like paying, being able to pay people kind of smaller amounts and people doing things themselves and stuff. Content-wise, right? All the best content that is like scaling at the moment is UGC filmed on an iPhone by someone in their living room. And what's really funny for me is some of the bigger brands have really, really fucking struggled to accept this reality, and I've been kind of like, I work with a content creation agency over here who are amazing. Like, they have like a team of content creators. They go out with products and all this kind of stuff. But what we've seen, like, I've been working with them for ages. They've been running for a few years now. Like, I think they're easily the best in the country, like fantastic. But what we're seeing even over the last couple of months is like big brands being like, oh shit, that UGC thing. We should give that a go.
That thing they were talking about in 2017. We should
But
give it a shot.
But they're so like, they just don't understand that you just don't need the studio and the lights and all this kind of stuff, and you just need someone with an iPhone to like, shoot someone like legitimately. And they're so behind. Sorry, my like dogs jumped up, wants to see what's going on. And they're so behind with it,
Oh yeah.
But it's just so interesting to see, and it's going into the point of like how much you can actually just get done with, looking at what other people are doing, things you can do on your phone, things you can learn on YouTube, and like it's blows my mind, like the world we're living in,
I love it, man. I love it. And I think that is that's a great place to, we're coming up on an hour, so I don't want to dive into like 50 other things because I feel like we easily could. But we'll try to keep it to some manageability. I appreciate that. Maybe we should have you on DDC Coffee Shop soon. I think that'd be rad. I'd love to have you on there.
Wicked. Would love that.
So what I'll get to with this is what I'd love to leave this with is one. I just want to say thanks. Like, I get up in the day and I'm a content creator, right? At the end of the day, I'm a content creator guy that's effectively retired that people won't let stop working because I can help people, right? And like, I really enjoy it. I mean, I'm at this spot where like, I don't need to build brands. I don't need to do stuff. Like, I bought a house in LA. I paid for my wedding in cash. I'm okay. Right? Like, I got a pocket full of strong nodes printing me strong I'm flexing with the NFT profile picture. I'm all right. My point of it is that, and I want to say this, I really appreciate people like you taking some of that stuff in. And like, when my DM blows up with like screenshots of 7-figure accounts and just like, can I just say thank you for doing this thing? Because like, I made absolute use of it. I just want to say, it makes me feel so good because that's my why. Like, my why. I get up in the morning and do this stuff because I'm compelled to help people see more success and less stress and to just achieve the independence and the happiness and the joy that is so readily apparent on your face from an Uber driver to this type of screenshots you sent me on the back of YouTube, Instagram, a little bit of Twitter, and some gumption. It just means the world to me. So I want to say thank you.
No. I have like next to no qualifications as well. So please don't think that I have a degree or an MBA or any of that kind of stuff. I have nothing. Like I when I finished like high school, I didn't even go and pick up my results. So don't think that I'm like some some genius that just kind of, like was able to, I just sat for long enough, as long as it took to learn it,
I love it. I love it. And side note, I graduated magna cum laude from my high school with a 2.73 grade point average because I got expelled 3 times in high school and I was the only senior in my graduating class.
Yeah, I got expelled as well.
Yeah. I got expelled from the school you go to, and you get expelled from the school that you go to, and you get expelled. And I got expelled in 8th grade. Like what are those? Just like some 11th grade private school, program for like at risk kids. But like it's March. He could just do some work in the back of this room for like 2 months. We'll just stamp it.
Yeah.
Only senior, magna cum laude, #1 in my class because I barely had a seat. Fantastic. Now, since then, I do have a couple degrees. I do have an MBA. I've established since then. So for what it's worth, the teacher does know some things. I have a little bit of stuff, right? Like for what it's worth.
But you sound like you've got enough for the both of us. So,
and that's the thing. You only need to, all it matters is the source, right? If you trust the source and you commit, you're going to see success. And with that, I want to help other people see success. And, maybe it's the William Browns of the world. I'm going to put this back on the screen for a second. Maybe it's this guy of the world. But let me end this by leaving you the floor to just, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, if anybody's interested in doing something, if you're even willing to talk to somebody, let me leave you the floor to say whatever it is that you want to say and let you have the last word here, because you made me feel great. And the least I can do is shut up for a moment and let you say whatever it is you want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you can get me, my business is called Zevon Digital. You can get me at sammy@zevondigital.com. Especially if you're in Sydney, Australia, or in Australia, that would be great. The other thing is, I guess, be obsessed with it. Whatever it is, just be obsessed or find something else until you find something you're obsessed with. I only got here for months of just sitting, watching YouTube. And the girl I was living with at the time literally told me I was wasting my fucking life by sitting and watching YouTube all day. Now I'm in the top 1% and I fucking have no idea where she is, but fuck her, right? So, be obsessed with it. Keep going, it's out there. Everything you want to learn is out there for free. Go find it.
I love it, man. Well, again, thank you so much. I guess it's almost bright and early for you at this point. What time is it?
It's 12:30. So get yourself a sandwich,
There you go. Have yourself a Sammy. Maybe a little, I really appreciate it, man. There you go. Take the dog for a walk. Enjoy some life. I'm gonna DM you about getting you on D2C Coffee Shop. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, wicked.
And just, hey man, your DM to me made me smile, and I just wanted to say thank you one last time.
No, I think that's actually something else I want to finish on. Just ask, right? I got my first client because I fucking asked, right? The content creation agency that I work for at the moment, I just asked them if they wanted to work. I came on air because I sent you a DM and you just said, you were like, oh, that's great so much. And I was like, will you have me on your show? I asked, right? I just asked. So just ask, just ask. People are going to say no. When I was starting my business, I probably was sending 200 emails a week asking people to hire me. Now they're coming to me and I have to turn people away. So just ask.
There you go, man. There you go.
No worries.
Well, Have a great day. I think you're living in the future, so it's Tuesday afternoon for you.
Yeah.
I will talk to you later, my man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Charlie. See you, mate.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.